Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this keynote session. My name is Davey. I'm the editor of online community mycustomer.com, and I'll be your host for this panel session today, when we'll be looking at the evolution of CRM from relationship to experience. So in a moment, I'm going to introduce the expert panel that we have over here on my right, after which we're going to have around about sort of 35 minutes or so's worth of panel discussion before we throw things open for the last 5 minutes or so to the floor, so that you can pitch in with some questions on the topic, pitch into the panel in case there are any specific areas that you would like to drill down into for a little bit of extra detail. But before we get over to the introductions and get down to that, I just thought I would provide a little bit of an introduction, first of all, just to kind of frame the discussion. And so CRM market, the CRM software market is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Is one that's continuing to show robust growth. It's been largely unaffected by the global economic downturn, one of the few tech sectors actually that has emerged relatively unscathed from that. And that's led some analysts to refer to CRM, as the CRM market, as being something of a sort of recession-proof sector. Now, why would it be recession-proof? Well, when you think about tough economic landscapes and competitive economic landscapes, the onus is really on businesses to do a number of things, such as optimise their marketing, improve customer service, reduce customer churn and the like. And modern CRM systems are very much geared to enabling businesses to do all of those kinds of things. That, of course, is quite a long stretch from sort of the original historical CRM systems, which really were sort of little more than sort of glorified contact management systems, really. The modern CRM systems, of course, kind of feed in and out of multiple departments, sales, service and marketing being the main ones. Very often they're in the cloud. New channels such as social media will come on and it will kind of integrate that into it as well. You look at social CRM, for example. And so CRM has obviously sort of evolved a long way from its original origins, and it continues to evolve, with the latest development being the integration of customer experience management into the fold. I think it was a research house over about 18 months or so ago identified that some of the CRM vendors were changing the messaging, evolving the messaging around their CRM suites from relationship to experience, which is an interesting development. For a number of reasons. Firstly, it's interesting because why would CRM vendors think that it's so important at this juncture for customer experience management to be so important to business people? It also raises the question of whether or not it is just an issue of messaging, or whether there's something more fundamental going on under the hood of CRM technologies, whether there really is something that's changing with the IT. And finally, of course, is the question, what does it actually mean to all of you? What does it mean to the salesmen and the marketers out there? So these are all the questions that we're going to be mulling over in the next kind of half an hour or so with our expert panel. So let me introduce who's going to be discussing this today. So starting the nearest me, I'd like to introduce Colin, founder of customer experience consultancy Beyond Philosophy. We have Danny Rippon, EMEA CRM Business Solutions Director at Oracle. And then Kris, McKenzie, Head of CRM SAP UKI, and Customer Experience Specialist Iqbar, author of the customerblog.co.uk. So gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And so just to kick things off, customer experience management isn't a new term, not a new concept by any stretch of the imagination, but it is one that some of you may be a little unfamiliar with. So Colin, I wonder whether just to kind of kick things off, you might be able to just sort of give us a bit of a rundown, tell us a little bit more about the discipline of customer experience management for the benefit of those who maybe aren't too clear about what it exactly is.
Sure. So customer experience, I think you can start by defining customer experience. So for us, customer experience is an interaction between an organisation and a customer. So therefore it doesn't have to be face-to-face, it doesn't have to be over the phone, it could be just looking at a poster or wiring on your car, it could be looking by an advert, that's all customer experience. And for us, I guess importantly, it's a blend of rushing things, so the delivery of products, picking people onto the phone, those types of things. But it's also about how a customer feels, so it's about emotions. It's also about the subconscious part of the experience. So as I was talking earlier today, there's a big surprise for you. Biggest thing you're going to learn today. your customers are human beings. So customers are human beings, so as such, the whole area of sort of psychology and all those things comes about. So I guess for us, the customer experience is about the customer is a human being, and therefore how they interact with you. So customer experience management is the management of all those things. Management of how the customer interacts with you, understanding different customers, not just segments to large, medium, small, but behavioural things, and how you go about managing that then goes into the organisation and how the organisation affects the customer. So the way we measure people ultimately affects the customer. Policies that they have in finance and HR will ultimately affect the customer experience. So customer experience is a holistic thing, and therefore customer experience management by definition has to be a holistic thing that affects the whole of the organisation.
Thank you, Colin. And Maz, you've obviously been working in customer experience management for many years as well. I wonder whether anything that you'd sort of add to what Colin did.
Yeah, I think the temptation for people in business is to do the same old, same old. So when they look at customer experience, this kind of CRM thinking, but with a new label. So it's processes and it's technology, all these things. But again, the focus then is still internal. So the whole concept of customer experience is to shift or get people present to the fact that human beings are experiencing beings. So we cannot avoid experiencing, and that essentially we will actually experience a company without even ever touching your product or service. Actually, I will experience your company by going on Google and see what people say. Okay? So I already start to experience your company, and as a result of that experience, I have a disposition either to check you out and give you an opportunity to do business with me or not. Okay? So it is that concept of step away from product and service thinking and get present to the fact that human beings experience stuff, right? That's number one. Second thing, the value of customer experience is to the whole outside in, okay? So that then means is that if you want to then make that happen, it comes down to priorities, policies, practices, people, and platforms, okay? Notice I didn't say processes, okay? So you have a practice of either when you make a decision, evaluating the impact it will have on your customers, or you don't. I don't really care about your processes, whether it's 5-step, 10-step, or whether you lean it or not, right? It's that level. It's actually moving away from a customer as an object, functional, to as an experiencing human being, and looking at, are you meeting their needs, and how are you leaving them feeling? So I don't really do customer experience management because I don't think you can. You cannot control how a customer experiences you, but you can create a context in which you generate the kind of experience you want to leave them with. So I see the whole game of customer experience design and innovation about how do you enrich customers' lives such that they actually feel good about doing business with you. Yeah?
So, Danny, kind of based on what Colin and Maz have said, I mean, a lot of customer experience management, in a sense, it isn't really kind of a new concept as such, what they're covering. So why is there suddenly so much interest in customer experience management now compared from sort of businesses and vendors? It seems that it's really come to the fore at the moment. It's a question of why this is suddenly sort of came up now.
I think, is this working? Can you hear me? No? Okay, thank you. I think, we've all seen the surveys that have been out that sort of 50% of people will pay more for a better customer experience. So the chief executives and your head of sales wake up and say, okay, we need to tick the customer experience box, please, because that's going to be good for my top line and my bottom line. So that's why I think there's a lot of interest, because the people who run companies know that a good experience equals bigger margins, bigger profits. The really hard part is in delivering that, and I agree with these two guys that to get that fantastic customer experience, it's not just about implementing some new software or putting a new process in place. The really hard part is getting the cultural change as well as the hygiene factors of your back office.
And Kris, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I think I would just add to that customer experience is such a massive and broad topic that, and it's dynamically changing every day. With the emergence of social media, social networks, new channels coming onto market all the time, it's an ever-changing environment. And you've got to be constantly keeping up with the trends and what consumers are looking for from an experience perspective to be successful. Otherwise, your brand, literally overnight, could be in trouble. So you've got to realise it's a very dynamic environment. Just like we're all individuals, we all change, we all have different experiences, and that makes the environment very, very dynamic.
And Colin, how would you explain the reasons for such a growth in interest in customer experience management? You've obviously been working in this for some time.
I think if we look at the sort of why it's growing, it goes back to the sort of classic stuff, and I think there's different reasons. So the first reason why it's growing is because the time from innovation to imitation is now much quicker. So people invent something and then they so consequently technology and the internet, all that type of stuff is driving mass commoditization. So therefore, again, Maz and I were chatting earlier, if you're in a fortunate position where you've got products and services you're in a monopoly situation, most organisations can't be bothered about customer experience because people have to buy your product anyway. But now, that's changing. So that's the first reason it's growing. The second reason that it's growing, and I guess for me this is a danger, and let me try to sort of put this in a little bit of context for you. I've been doing this now for 11 years. Okay, I've written 4 books on the subject of customer experience. We've worked with organisations all over the world on customer experience, and I actually wrote a blog the other day saying, or in fact about 3 or 4 months ago, saying RIP customer experience. Now why did I do that? Well, I was trying to be provocative because what I'm seeing is a lot of organisations are now doing customer experience because everybody else is. And they don't really understand what it means. So a lot of organisations that I see are now starting to jump on the bandwagon, and now I see lots of people changing their job titles and saying that they are customer experience when they haven't changed what they do. I see lots of people jumping on the bandwagon, and therefore that's causing that growth. It's like that Me Too bit. And the challenge here that I think that causes is that those initiatives are likely to fail because they're not really committed to that change, and they're not really committed to make things happen. And therefore, when it doesn't work, they'll go, customer experience didn't really work, did it? Well, actually, that's not the case. It's because the senior team and other people in the organisation weren't really committed to it. So, to answer your question, I think there is absolutely a demand for mass commoditization, driving people to differentiate themselves on the customer experience. That's at the core of it. But I also see that there's a lot of people just doing it now because everybody else is. And that's a real problem, I think.
Excellent. So, picking up on that, Kris, SAP was the CRM vendor that Ovum sort of first identified as being the CRM vendor that was making this sort of transition in messaging from relationship to experience. I wonder whether you might be able to just sort of tell us a little bit about that, and what was kind of what precipitated the sort of the change in emphasis.
Yeah, sure. So, SAP have been in the CRM market for a very long time, and CRM from a systems perspective has become a kind of commoditized type application around marketing, sales and service processes. And as we've heard, customer experience management is a much broader topic than just CRM. So our move away from just talking about CRM is our move from launching a new solution called 360 Customer. And effectively what that entails is lots of applications centered around CRM as the kind of system of record, if you like, for your customer. But then lots of other parts that feed into that overall customer experience. So an example of that is CRM is now launched on a technology platform from SAP called HANA. Now, I'm not going to bore you with any SAP acronyms on what HANA means or whatever, but effectively what it gives us is the power to get the insight from the information that's held within the transactional system. So CRM is great for holding lots of vast amounts of data on your customers, their buying history, their financial status, etc. But how do you get the value from that data? How do you get the value from all the other data stores that you have within your organization outside of your CRM system? How do you harness that to drive real-time interactions, real-time execution to your customer, to improve the customer experience? And with the launch of the 360 Customer product, what we've done is bring CRM together with our BI suite, with our mobile platform, with this HANA in-memory technology, which gives you that speed to be able to have real-time interactions with your customers on the fly, to actually monitor what people are saying about your brand, monitor that in real time, react to that in real time. So it's really about real-time execution. So we've changed the way that we discuss it, because CRM, as I say, is just part of the overall customer experience topic.
And Danny, I know that Oracle, another CRM vendor, which is putting a great deal of emphasis at the moment on the customer experience. I think only in the last week, I believe, there's a lot of talk about sort of Eloqua and the customer experience cloud, so it's sort of quite timely. What's kind of been added to your CRM suite that kind of changes that emphasis as well towards experience?
Yeah, so again, violently agreeing here. Customer experience to Oracle is much broader than just CRM. I'll give you an example. I was recently in a customer in Germany, and they were having big customer sat issues in their call center. And they stepped back and did what I think I would recommend everyone does, which is to take an outside-in view and do some journey mapping and say, how do my customers interact with me? How do they want to interact? And this customer realized that a very large segment of their customers were over 50 years old and were calling the call center and getting very frustrated because the guys in the call center, the average age was 24, and they were very tech-savvy people. And so there was a massive disconnect which was causing big customer satisfaction issues. So part of their solution, if you like, to their customer experience issue was actually to change their HR systems and their HR hiring policies, and then make sure they also had, easy-to-use knowledge management systems, because people who are over 50 need easy-to-use knowledge management systems to answer the question. We all do, actually. I do, certainly. And so, it's not a CRM system so much that solved that customer experience issue. So in addition to that, I think it's very important that whatever system you look for has the ability to support the customer journey from the customer's perspective, and the ability to multi-channel or go across many channels persistently and know who I am in each of those channels. And so one of the core challenges that we all face is if I've got a single marketing platform and then a different sales platform and a different service platform and a different social platform, how do I identify the customer and understand that customer as they choose the channel and then the department within my organization to interact with? And so what Oracle have been doing is, yes, acquiring best-in-class applications for marketing, for commerce, for social, etc., but also in the back, making sure that we integrate all of those for you so that you can manage that customer journey at a much lower cost than you've traditionally been able to.
Okay, thanks for that. So it seems clear that customer experience is very much a kind of a business strategy with measurable objectives underpinned by analytics, but there doesn't seem to be so much agreement when it comes to whether there's a sort of distinct software market that actually supports that. Gartner, for example, says there isn't. Forrester says there is. So what are your kind of thoughts on that? What are your thoughts, Matt?
What are my thoughts on that? Okay. remember I went back to priorities, practices, policies, people, and platforms. Well, platforms are a combination. If you want to stage a customer experience and do well, one of the components of that platform is technology. Okay? And therefore, there are a bunch of technologies that you need to get and glue up to be able to stage customer experiences, know how well you've performed, and to revise and make changes. Okay, so that's where the IT comes in. But I don't see like a customer experience suite. There isn't such a thing. There's a bunch of tools. You take the tools, you have to glue them up, and you have to make them work.
What do you think, Colin? Would you say is there a customer experience software market?
You know what? The answer is I don't know enough about the customer experience software market to be able to comment logically. But for me, logically, customer experience is about all the things that we do. We've just heard about HR policies and stuff like that. So for me, it feels like if it is, it would have to be pretty bloody big, because it includes everything. And for me, therein lies some of the challenge. It goes back to, well, what do you define as customer experience? So, I would err on the side of saying, no, I don't think there is, but, I'm not an expert in software.
Well, actually, it's a really interesting point here. If you look at the horse meat, what is the customer experience? How many people now feel confident going into the supermarkets, buying something, and actually being confident that they're buying what they thought they're buying? And then you're getting to the supply chain, right? Supply chain is essential to making the product that you're promising that the customer's buying. So suddenly now customer experience encompasses the supply chain. So now you're in supply chain technology. Customer experience is not a process, it's not a strategy, it's a way of life. It's a way that you show up in the world, and therefore it has to permeate everything. And if you start then looking at technology, therefore it means every single bit of technology you've got in the company, including the technology of recruiting people and doing their performance appraisals. So there really isn't a customer experience platform or suite.
So, Kris, what SAP are doing, would you say you're going somewhere there to actually sort of creating a customer experience software market if it hasn't previously existed?
Yeah, so I guess going back to some of the previous comments I've made, what we've done with the 360 customer product is bring everything that we think is relevant from a technology perspective into one bundle to create effectively a customer experience platform. But as these guys have said, that encompasses a lot of different things. So CRM is part of it, BI is part of it, mobile is part. How people interact with you as an organisation is a key part of it. All the channels, the actual underlying technology platform, the data tools that you use to clean that amount of data that you've got across all your different systems. Another core part of that's going to feed into customer experience management and making sure that when a customer engages you, whatever channel that is, whether it's face-to-face, whether it's over the web, through the mobile device, or whatever, that experience is consistent. So I think that, it is a very, very broad topic. Is there a specific software market that one solution is going to fit all of customer experience? No, I don't. I think it is a myriad of different solutions. But as I say, what we've done is try to package up what we've got around customer experience. We feel that we're uniquely positioned in the market to get customers up and running, once they've looked at what their strategy is going to be around customer experience management, to get them up and running on the best platform there is in the market. And what we've done alongside of this software launch is also launch a method of delivery. So, software companies are great about putting out new fancy software, but how do you actually get that into an organization? So we're making sure that this is backed up by services. So we have a services-led proposition called Rapid Deployment Services, which takes you on the start of that customer experience journey. So you can quickly get up to speed on some of these technology platforms, in a matter of weeks to start on that journey, because it's not something you do. When CRM was implemented at the start, everyone thought we're going to implement a CRM system and wow, we're going to solve all the customer problems we've ever had in the world. And then what did they end up doing? They found out, well, actually we've got a lot more customers complaining than we originally thought. How do we then deal with that? So it was a journey. CRM was a journey. Now that's become commoditized. Customer experience is a journey. It's not something that you're going to do and then you're just going to leave it. You're going to have to constantly go back, review, change, and have a very flexible platform that enables you to do that.
So Danny, would Oracle be sort of bold enough to say that maybe you're going to be the pioneers in the customer experience software market?
Certainly, I agree with these guys. And per my example earlier, an HR system can be a customer experience system. So no, I mean, Forrester's, to your question earlier about Forrester's view of the customer experience market is very much focused on the customer touchpoint software. So be that, websites or mobile applications and so on. And I think we're violently agreeing up here that it's much, much broader than that. What we're doing in Oracle in terms of delivering software to that market is similar to Kris, I guess, but a slightly different approach. We fundamentally believe that customer experience, to the point earlier, is about emotion. It's about brand and about making a connection to the brand. Now, we're going to hold our hands up. Oracle, we're a bunch of IT plumbers. We don't know much about brand. We do, but you're not going to trust us talking about brand. So we go and work very closely with a lot of the digital marketing agencies out there, like a Sapient Nitro or an LBI, and work incredibly closely with these guys and involve these guys, excuse me, in helping our customers to do journey mapping and to do, right back to what does the brand mean? Not what does my product do, not how does my product work, but what do we stand for as a company? And based on what we stand for as a company, how do we then make that emotional connection to our customers? And then once we know what we're going to do there, what tools and technologies might we need to help deliver that? So really working with those digital agencies up front with the customer to make sure we're delivering something that is truly impactful to the customer experience.
Colin, you've written in the past about your concerns about CRM vendors misappropriating customer experience management to sell products. Could you sort of tell us a little bit about your concerns?
Yeah, sure. I think this is, so my concerns are that the way that it sometimes gets sold is that buy this system and the world's problems will be solved. Now, it's good to hear from my colleagues that that's not the view that they take. But it's an easy thing for people to say that, and the reality is again, I wish I had £1 for every time somebody said to me, what's the one thing I can do to change the customer experience? And you go, well, if there is one, if you think there's one thing, you just don't understand, do you? And therefore the challenge is that people like a quick fix, and they like to go, great, so if I buy this CRM system or this bit of software, CE software or whatever else, that's going to solve my problems. Great, I'll get the checkbook out. And that's effectively what happened with CRM in my view, and therefore again the problem then comes that when it doesn't happen, as it didn't with CRM, that customer experience as the subject gets the blame. So for me there is a danger that, and this ties back to what I said earlier, that everybody's jumping on the bandwagon, right? And everybody's changing what they do and what they're, and we're talking here about software, what their software does, and it used to be called customer service and now it's called customer experience. And it's not just jobs, it's vendors and it's consultancies. The consultancies used to be customer service consultancies, now they're customer experience consultancies. Because the whole subject starts to jump off. So my fear is that in that type of world, that combination of those two things, looking for a quick fix and someone saying, I've got a quick fix for you, those two go together, and therefore the whole subject of customer experience gets diminished because that doesn't work. As we've said earlier, software, systems, absolutely, is it a key part of a customer experience? Yes, but it's only one part of it, and shouldn't be treated in isolation. It's one part of the solution.
Excellent.
I think
And Maz has someone who earns a crust.
CFOs that are going to get their checkbook off and just buy some software on the back of a whim, then you should give me their details, because I don't think that's what we're experiencing anymore. I think that may have been the case prior to 2008 when we had the financial crisis now, but anybody that buys any software, the business case has to be absolutely rock solid before the CFO will get his checkbook out.
I think the issue for me is that, and I absolutely appreciate that it's not as easy as that, but the danger is that the customer thinks, I buy this software, I implement the system, I'm now doing customer experience, and I don't have to do anything else. Yeah. That's the problem.
Can I jump in now? I don't actually see it that way. I see it people that are dumb, people that are smart, to use two extremes. People that are in for the quick fix and people that actually realise it takes something to create something. So there's going to be a whole bunch of people that are going to run for technology as a silver bullet, no matter what the education, from you, from me, from the CRM vendors or IT vendors, whoever else it is, right? And I actually think it's a blessing. Let all the people that have no stomach or appetite to actually do it right go and buy the software and spend their wheels spinning, doing that. That leaves the field open for people who actually understand what customer experience is, which is an opportunity to differentiate yourself, own a space, like, say, for example, Amazon has with the Kindle, because it's a fundamentally different experience. I press a button, I have it there, right? Apple has done with the iPad or iPhone. So I think it's an opportunity. It's going to go that way anyway. So it's not really an issue. People are going to go because we're addicted to technology. We want to believe that we don't actually have to give up anything. We don't have to change. Just go and buy the latest big box, flashy box. I'll give you heaven. Which is great. If I know that people are doing that, I'm not going to waste my time having a conversation with those.
And Danny, how would you kind of respond with the concerns of the kind of customer experience management fraternity? How would you respond to the kind of concerns from the customer experience fraternity in terms of the CEM being misappropriated by the CRM vendors?
So I'm hoping we've allayed some of those fears up here, actually, that we don't just talk about technology being the panacea to fixing customer experience. We do talk about journey mapping. We talk about connecting things to your brand, the emotional experience. If you go to your local supermarket and there's nowhere to park because their car park's too small, technology is not going to fix that issue. I'm hoping we are not advocating that customer experience is a particular software category, or we can fix it just by selling you some CRM software.
Excellent. Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Just got a final question for you all, really. Obviously, there might be some business people here in the audience today looking for kind of a CRM solution. Is there any kind of piece of advice that you could give to them in terms of choosing the right CRM solution? And in terms of anything that may sort of factor in customer experience management functionality? Any piece of advice? Let's start with you, Colin.
Yeah, I think the major piece of advice, and it's actually happened with a client of ours in Milwaukee in the States, who basically contacted us and said, hey, they're looking to buy some CRM, and what did we think? And, we are system agnostic, okay? But my first reaction was to say, well, have you designed your experience? Have you actually sat down and worked out what the experience is that you're trying to deliver to your customers and that your customers value before you go out and buy a system? And they haven't. And I see too many organizations buying systems without thinking about the design of the experience first. So my advice would be that you've got to think about designing your experience not just for today as well, because obviously if you're making a purchase of a system, that's a large investment and that system will be around for some time. And therefore you've got to look at designing your experience first before you go ahead and buy the software and or the system, whatever it may be. And I would just re-emphasize the word experience, and to re-emphasize what Maz's point was. When we're talking here about an experience, We're not talking about a process. And there's a big difference between an experience and a process. And therefore, designing the experience before you buy the software is the key.
Excellent. And Danny, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think I'm from an IT company, so I'm going to talk a little bit about IT and CRM. But once you've done that journey mapping and you've done the experience journey stuff that I think is very well said, at the end of the day, you're going to have to come and implement something that helps that customer journey and helps your company support the customer experience. And I think the key thing to remember is that out there, over this wall, there are a lot of really, really cool niche software vendors doing social media something or other, or marketing this, that, and the other. If you buy the point solutions, they're going to be great, but they're going to cost you a fortune when you try and support that cross-channel or cross-individual silo within your organization, when you try and share the marketing data with your sales organization or into your service organization. That integration is what gives IT a bad name, because that's the bit that costs the most money. So my recommendation is to pick somebody who's got all of those pieces. So they've got sales and marketing and social and commerce and service and so forth, but has done the plumbing at the back for you, because that's the bit that if you buy the point solutions, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So the plumbing is really, really important.
And Kris?
Thanks for that recommendation. So I think it's simple. I think it was Steve Jobs that said, start with the customer. We talk about customer experience, but actually speak to your customers. Well, how is it that they want to interact with you? And then work your way back to the technology. Because, it's the customer that matters. CRM, many of the projects fail because it was the organization's view of how they should interact with the customer. It wasn't getting the feedback from the customers themselves. So start with the customer, work your way back to the technology. In SAP, I believe we are unique in the market to have all the different parts, within the solution portfolio to give you a start on that customer experience journey. And it is a journey, I can't state that enough. You need to have something and a platform in place where that experience and the customer's demand on your organization are going to dynamically change. And you need to have a flexible and consistent and integrated platform to be able to keep up with that pace of change.
And Maz, you've just about got a couple of minutes to wrap things up.
Give you a practical recommendation. 1, never let IT people and finance people choose a technology. They will get it wrong. They are fundamentally the most inhuman humans I come across. Right? That's it. I don't mean to be offensive. That's the reality, okay? A system for it to be used, at the end of the day, you want it to be used to deliver some result. It's only going to be used if it fits into the context of people's lives. Okay? It's got to be useful because it helps me to get the job done, but it's got to be easy to use. If it isn't going to get done. Okay, I used to work for Siebel. I've seen companies spend $10 million plus and only one person's using that system. So number 1, never, ever, ever let finance people and IT people decide on the technology. Get the people who are actually going to use it to own it and select it. Okay? That's the most practical recommendation I can give you.
Okay, so we've just about got 1 minute for any questions, so we'll probably just about squeeze in a question if anyone would like to pitch a particular question at the panel. We've got one just down the front here. Is there a microphone? It's on its way.
Hi. Can the panel give any pointers on measuring customer experience if we're talking about maybe even managing it?
Do you want to jump in? Yeah. So measuring the customer experience, that's a subject obviously we could spend the next 4 hours talking about that one. But here's my fundamental answer to that is, well, what is the experience you're trying to deliver? Yeah, what's the end result? So if you take what Maz said earlier, are you trying to get customers to trust you? Are you trying to get them to feel that you care for them, you value them. And if you are, and that's the output, because they're human beings, then you should be measuring those things. There's the usual, net promoter, I think is a good thing. It's not the be-all and end-all of life, the universe and everything. It's a good measure. But for me, my major input would be, what's the experience you're trying to deliver? Have you articulated that? Do you know what it is? And once you've got that, you should be measuring the hell out of that tactically and strategically.
Maz?
You're going to have a point of view on what constitutes a customer experience, which is what Colin is actually saying. But I have a little formula, which is that customers turn to you because they want you to create value for them. Okay, they're hiring you to do a job and deliver certain outcomes. So I say V, customer value, is equal to the benefits you're going to generate for them, minus the effort that they have to expend. So you can actually measure the benefits, you can measure the effort that it takes for them to actually access your product or service, whatever it is, minus the risk. Why are product recommendations so good at helping to sell? Because it takes the risk away to help the customer to figure out what's the right product for him or her, right? Minus the price. And then I have a plus or minus the treatment, which is that human-to-human connection, how you make them feel about themselves. So I would say those are the components you should be measuring, and there's a number of ways you can do that. People talk about their experiences, right? You can access that on through the social media, yeah? Where there are risks and stuff, you can actually pilot that. People will talk about that. If you make product recommendations, you provide tools or wizards, you'll see an uplift. I mean, I did a strategy for a client of mine. We doubled the conversion rate on their website. Why? Because we took those factors into account, okay? And like I said, the effort, try setting up your product. Try going to the website and buying it. Go and sit in a call center like I do and listen to people who complain, right? It really isn't hard, okay? But you're going to have a point of view on what constitutes the customer experience. Break it down to those factors and measure those.
Excellent. Okay, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, as we've overrun by a bit already. I'm sure that some of our panelists might be around for a couple of sort of quick questions, if anyone. I know there are a couple of questions still in the audience. So I'm afraid that's all we've got time for now, though. It just leaves me to thank our great panel and thank you all for turning up. Really hope it's been interesting and informative. If you'd like any more information about this, then you can always visit mycustomer.com, which is not a bad site, if I say so myself. Okay, thanks very much. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.